Back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 10 of CO Sports Talk here on YouTube. It's already episode 10. I can't believe I feel like me and Casey just started this thing and we've made a lot of progress and we're excited to keep going. In today's episode, we will announce the winner of the tournament challenge. It's pretty much set in stone at this point, and so we will announce who will come on the show later if they accept. And if they don't, we'll just go on to the next person. And so, yeah, we got a lot in store for today. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Let's do it. 10 episodes strong. We're excited to be here, and we've been doing it 10 straight weeks. So let's get into it. Starting off with some college basketball. Over the weekend, and we'll talk, a little bit before, but we had the Elite Eight and the Final Four. And starting off with Gonzaga versus UCLA, game of the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
If you see these highlights right now, 93-90, Gonzaga ends up winning. What a game.
That's all you can say. What a game. It was just a spectacular game all around, and the finish was incredible. Jalen Suggs with the almost half-court heave, a prayer, banks it in, sends Gonzaga to the national championship and keeps their undefeated season alive. But shout out UCLA, man. They played great. If they played any other team in the country, they win that game. They just happened to be playing the undefeated Gonzaga Bulldogs. And so enough can't be said about how UCLA played that game, but ultimately Gonzaga comes out on top.
Absolutely. That was a game for the ages. One of the best games in March Madness history, really. One of the best games we've seen in a long time. Johnny Juzang of UCLA, shout out to him. He played the whole game through overtime, all 45 minutes, had 29 points, and UCLA really played their heart out. And, they would have won the national championship, I think. We will see tomorrow. We're going to give a little recap, but if Gonzaga wins by more than 10, UCLA would win a national championship with a win yesterday. So that showed, coming into the game, the closest team to compete with Gonzaga was West Virginia, who lost by 10, and UCLA went to overtime and lost by 3. So they were very impressive.
Yeah, I think they would beat Baylor in the finals if they had won that game. So that would have been crazy, an 11th seed winning it all. But yeah, UCLA played great. Johnny Juzang played great. Tiger Campbell, Jaime Jaquez, the whole starting five. Riley even made those few jump shots. So yeah, overall good team effort by UCLA. They're very well coached, and yeah, they're never count out UCLA in tournaments to come. I've learned that this year. They're always a good program. But what do you think this tournament means as a whole for Johnny Juzang's draft stock? He really showed out and became the second leading scorer in UCLA history in the tournament of all time, behind Lou Alcindor, also known as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So elite company.
Yeah, definitely. Juzang's only 20 years old. He can stay if he wants. Interesting thing about Juzang is he started his career at Kentucky. So he didn't commit to UCLA originally. This is his second year at UCLA. But he can still play. But I think he came into as high school, he was a 4-star. But I think Johnny Juzang can be a lottery pick after this. What he's done is so impressive, and he's proved that he can compete against any team. And he rebounds, he assists, he plays good defense, and obviously he can score. I had 29 points last game, so I think he's a lottery pick now, and he'll declare for the draft. And that just shows what March Madness can do to a player. Sindorius Thornwell of South Carolina was undrafted free agent going into the tournament and balled out and brought South Carolina to the Final Four in 2017, and he ended up being drafted. So it just shows what March Madness does for someone. And John Moran, of course.
Yeah, and I remember it did. It made Dante DiVincenzo a first-round pick. It just really can raise a player's draft stock. And someone like Johnny Juzang would be the first Asian American lottery pick if he gets picked in the first 14 picks. So that would be awesome for him, and it would be an awesome, landmark. But yeah, the man can just flat out score. He's a walking bucket. Any NBA team can use that. So I think the team that lands him, if he declares, would be lucky to have Johnny Juzang. And yeah, I just think
for this Gonzaga team, talking about them, we'll talk about them in a second as they're about to go to the finals tomorrow, Monday. But for them, their big three just can compete simply as Jalen Suggs, Drew Timme, and Corey Kispert are just a gift that keeps on giving. What we saw from Drew Timme yesterday was beyond amazing. His footwork down in the paint was impressive. Suggs, besides the shot, obviously one of the greatest shots, probably best shot in Gonzaga history. But besides that, he wasn't even amazing. It was Timme that shined, and he's really shined all tournament. But this big three's been amazing for the Zags.
Yeah, I mean, this big three is absolutely unstoppable. I can't really think of anyone who can really guard Drew Timmy down in the post. Like you mentioned, his footwork's incredible. He can go to his left, he can go to his right. He's really unstoppable. And then if him, you have to also deal with Corey Kispert, who's an elite shooter, probably the best in this upcoming draft, and also not to mention Jalen Suggs, who's the probably the best player on this Gonzaga team. It's just ridiculous. They have three of the most elite players in all of college basketball on one team, under a great coach in Mark Few, and then not to mention great supporting players as well, with Nemhart and Ayayi. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
I was
this
gonna
this
say, or yeah, you go.
yeah, this team is built to win, and I don't think anyone can stop them. Uh, as we've seen, I mean, they haven't lost a game. Obviously, no one can stop them. But yeah, I think they can beat Baylor pretty easily unless uh, they kind of kill themselves and lose the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, there's the big three, obviously, but then Ayayi really stepped up yesterday. Had 22 points for himself and 6 rebounds. So I mean, there's also him. He had an amazing step back. There's maybe a 4 guys, and then obviously Andrew Nemhard. So there's 5 guys, and then only 2 guys came off the bench. So only 7 players played for the Zags. So they're a small team, but those guys are just some of the 7 best players in the country.
Yeah, it's a very limited rotation, but all those guys can flat up play the game of basketball and they win. But going against a team like Baylor, who more utilizes their bench, with shooters off the bench such as Matt Mayer. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how fatigue plays a role in this. But I think they're very well conditioned. As you can see, they just went to overtime game, and all the players seem to be fine. So I think it's gonna be a good game. But I personally have Gonzaga. You too?
Yeah, I got Zags. I mean, I think the winner of that game was going to win the championship. But I mean, moving on to Baylor Houston, talking about Baylor, who can't compete. They dominated Houston yesterday. What a game for the Baylor Bears. 11 3-pointers and a insane amount of threes. And they really just controlled this from start to finish under Jared Butler and the whole squad.
Yeah, Jared Butler's kind of struggled this tournament so far, but he did not struggle against Houston.
Yeah.
Played great. They really controlled this game from the tip, and it was Baylor all the way. The Cougars couldn't really control the Bears here. Uh, you know, the Cougars have some players who can really ball. DeJon Jarreau, Quentin Grimes, to name a few, but they could not contain this backcourt in Baylor. And yeah, Baylor just flat out controlled this game.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Bears, I mean, they almost made it boring how well they did. They played a great game, and they were the complete opposite of Gonzaga. I mean, they played about 10 guys, not mentioning though they did have the end, so they probably put a couple scrubs in at the end. Well, Gonzaga was start to finish,
Yeah,
contesting. But this team's deep. They do not have a star player. They don't have a big three really like Gonzaga. They have all these guys just contributing. They have a good 8 guys that will score. They have Matthew Mayer all the way down from the bench, dropping 12. And then they got they got Thamba, Mitchell, Butler, and then Teague, of course. So this team is all around a good team, and they're a well-coached team. And the awesome part about this championship game is the winner will be the first time they've ever won in their program. Baylor or Gonzaga has never won.
well, yeah, so it'd be great. It would be big for both teams. That's kind of a crazy stat. I mean, both historic programs. But yeah, these teams have been 1-2 all season. I remember we mentioned in really early episodes early on in the CF Sports Talk journey that we were discussing and who would make it undefeated longer. Both these teams were undefeated at one point. So yeah, it's gonna be a great game. I'm excited. This is the matchup we all wanted at the end of the regular season. More people thought it would be Gonzaga, Illinois, but it ends up
Yeah.
being Gonzaga, Baylor. So we will see how it ends up. But and
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the most anticipated championships we've had in a long time. As
yeah,
you just mentioned, I mean, we'll roll a clip here. Right now, number 1 and 2 in the country, Gonzaga and Baylor. Gonzaga undefeated, Baylor also undefeated. Gonzaga is number 1. My question for you, Oliver, is who will remain undefeated longer, Baylor or Gonzaga?
yeah. For this question, I think I'm gonna go with Gonzaga. I mean, you look at they got their star player in Jalen Suggs, arguably a top 5 draft pick in this upcoming draft. He's leading this team very well, obviously undefeated team. And then also another factor you have to look at is their conference. It's way weaker than the one Baylor plays in. So that's definitely another factor for this team to stay undefeated. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Baylor is the conference is mildly harder. The Big 12 is one of the hardest conferences in college basketball, along with the
Yeah.
ACC and Big 10. And Gonzaga is playing Pacific and Pepperdine and Santa Clara and St. Mary's every single week.
Yeah, and I think we chose Gonzaga because of their strength of schedule. And we were right about that. I don't think we thought they would still be undefeated at this point, but here we are. And yeah, they were supposed to play back in November, but since of COVID, it got canceled and all that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been kind of give us more insight going into this game if that game had been played, but it wasn't. So we get to see a matchup for the first time in the Baylor Bears versus the Gonzaga Bulldogs. So I'm really excited to see this, and I'm sure you are too.
Absolutely. And it's going to be one for the ages tomorrow night on CBS. We will see. After that, we'll get the one shining moment. And I mean, we're excited. Next time you see us, we will have a champion crowned, either the Gonzaga Bulldogs or the Baylor Bears. So we are excited to see that. All right. So about 4 weeks ago, we announced that we're going to have a tournament challenge, and the winner is going to be on our show next week. And with that, we have a winner that we can announce, and we're going to call him right now to surprise him and tell him that next week on episode 11, he will be on.
Here we go. Let's see if he answers.
Here we go. Hello. What's your name, sir?
Wait, hold on. What's going on?
You are live on CO Sports Talk, and we are happy and proud to say that you have won the men's tournament challenge, and you will be on next week, episode 11 of CO Sports Talk. How does it feel? And what's your name?
Hey, I'm great, and it's truly an honor, Just grinding that out, just wanting to be featured. Truly an honor. Hyped to do it. Let's go.
Absolutely. So Graydon will be on next week at CO Sports Talk. He correctly picked the finals of Gonzaga versus Baylor. He has the Zags winning 83-72 tomorrow. So no matter what, he clinched it already. So you'll see him next week. And there you go. Graydon Abel, your 2021 tournament challenge winner.
Is there 96% correct?
All right. See you next week.
All right, bet.
And speaking of crowned champions, a champion was crowned tonight. The Stanford Cardinal women's basketball team beat the Arizona Wildcats, women's basketball team 54-53 as Coach Tara Vanderveer gets her first win since 1992, which she was still there, which is kind of crazy. And yeah, just a great win for these Stanford Cardinal who deserve it. They're always in contention every single year. And yeah, they won the Final Four game by 1 versus South Carolina, and they win the national championship game by 1. So a lot of close games, but they end up on top. And the women's tournament is over, and it was a great one.
I mean, yeah, first of all, this Arizona team was robbed. I mean, they were robbed of a championship here. Refs versus Arizona tonight. Stanford did not play well at all. Last two possessions, they didn't even get a shot off. I mean, I'm sorry, but a championship team needs to get a shot off. Like, for your best player in a championship game cannot be dropping only 17 points in Haley Jones. This Arizona Wildcats team deserved to win it all under Ariane McDonald. She played her heart out tonight for the Arizona Wildcats. I mean, they played great, and it was Arizona versus the refs, frankly. I'm not celebrating as a Stanford win. I don't know. Honestly, shocking that everyone calls this Tara Vandover person a great coach when she hasn't won since 1992. Arizona deserved this win, and frankly, South Carolina should have beat Stanford on Friday.
I mean, you're flat out just a hater. I mean, you just gotta appreciate greatness when you see it. But yeah, there we got it. We got a Cal fan hating on Stanford. What's new? And yeah, but Stanford ends up winning. It was a great tournament. I mean, Arizona beat UConn in the Final Four, and that came out as a shock for everyone. I mean, I was expecting a UConn Stanford finals, but Arizona, I mean, McDonald, she can flat out play, and she gets the best of Paige Beckers in that UConn team. I mean, but let's talk about Paige Beckers for a second. I mean, what's next for her? I mean, she's a freshman, but she seems like she's gonna be the next face of the WNBA, and maybe get some heads turning that direction.
Yeah, that was a great game, Arizona UConn in the Final Four. I mean, that was a real championship. But Paige Beckers, she had a solid game. I mean, she is an exciting player. I think she's really making women's basketball popular. And for her, I would stay at UConn if I was her because, frankly, I think that college women's basketball gets better viewership and is more popular TV-wise than the WNBA itself. So if she stays at UConn all 4 years, I mean, she can really help out the sport a lot, and she'll eventually win a championship. I mean, she has to. A little bit of a slump, though, for UConn.
Yeah, interesting for UConn not making the finals. I mean, just that program is literally always in contention, always the favorite. It's kind of crazy, but yeah. I mean, the powerhouses in college sports usually say the powerhouses just because of recruiting and stuff like that. People want to go where they win, and that's how it is. It's a winning culture there in Connecticut. It's just a winning culture under Coach Gino Auriemma, and yeah. So UConn, they'll be back next year. We all know it, but good moment for Stanford finally getting that win. Although Casey believes they were robbed. I mean, Arizona was robbed, but yeah. So that's what we got in the women's tournament.
All right. So now moving on to the MLB. Thursday, the MLB started and it is back. It was awesome seeing the MLB. I mean, we had 3 or 4 games depending on the team that played. We're both Giants fans, a little bit of a tough weekend for us, but
Yeah.
it's all right because it's just awesome seeing baseball back on our TVs.
Yeah, I'm super hyped to see baseball back. It honestly felt surreal. We got a full 162 games season ahead of us. I'm super hyped for the next 159 for the Giants. So yeah, but what are your early season overreactions so far from the 3 or 4 games that have been played?
I mean, I gotta say for my first overreaction that the Astros are winning the World Series. Obviously, this is an overreaction because they've only played 4 games. But going into Oakland and beating a team like the Oakland A's that just made the playoffs and they're still a very strong team all 4 times is very impressive. And I
Very.
mean, the whole cheating scandal happened, yeah, but I mean, ultimately they beat them 4 times and they're still strong even without the little cheating garbage cans.
Yeah, I mean they went into Oco Coliseum and they flat out dominated the A's, who have lacked in starting pitching. And yeah, the bats just came alive for the Astros. And yeah, they swept the 4 game series, which is kind of crazy. And for my overreaction, it has to do with another sweep, as the Orioles went into Fenway and swept the Red Sox in 3 games. So my overreaction was the Orioles can compete in a stacked AL East. And so we all know how stacked the AL East is. Blue Jays, Rays, who were just in the World Series, Yankees, of course, Red Sox, and then Orioles. So Orioles are obviously looked at like the fifth man out. They look like the worst team there, but they go in and they sweep the Red Sox. So who knows? Obviously, an overreaction. They're probably not going to make it out of that division, but who knows? After a strong start like that, they look good. They're swinging the bats well. Pedro Severino has had a great start. So yeah.
Yeah, so those are some overreactions. The biggest shock. I mean, what has been the biggest surprise to you? I'll start here, and I mean, I think for me, the biggest surprise has been the Atlanta Braves losing and getting swept by the Phillies is shocking. I mean, we both made a predictions video a couple weeks back, and we both had the Braves going far in this division and the Phillies not, and they beat them all 3 games. So that's surprising me and a shock.
Yeah, that's definitely a shock to me as well. But for me, you just mentioned it. It was the Astros sweeping the A's. I mean, the A's were just in title contention. They fell to the Astros in the playoffs, but yeah, little AL West matchup there. And the Astros got the best of the A's in all 4 games, which was just kind of crazy to me. So I feel like the A's have kind of been, the best in that division the past 2 years. But yeah, so we'll
Absolutely,
see
and
how that.
also another one with the White Sox losing 3 or 4 versus Angels. So the Angels could be strong this year.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game earlier today. Shohei Ohtani, he's batting second. They forfeited their DH spot just so he could hit and starting pitch. He batted in the second spot today. First time a pitcher's done that since I believe like 1910 or something. And yeah, first pitch he just hits a 450-foot tater and into right field. I mean, the dude's just talented as hell. And yeah, so
Absolutely.
yeah. And then moving on to the Giants, who we are a fan of, we got off to a little bit of a rough start. We're 1-2. We lost the series to the Seattle Mariners, which is kind of disappointing. On Friday, it was a 7-8 loss. A terrible come from behind win from the Mariners, which really sucked because we were up 5-0 in that game, and the bullpen just gave it away.
Absolutely. I mean, Thursday, yeah, was brutal. 7-8 loss to the Mariners. I mean, this just reminded me of last year in a nutshell, and it gave me the worst nostalgia / deja vu possible. I was so excited going into this game because Kevin Gausman dealt. He threw 6.2 innings, beautiful innings, and it was beauty. And the offense was finally clicking. I mean, we had 4 total home runs. Slater hit a bomb, and then of course Posey which was shocking, hit a bomb.
No.
And same goes for Longo and Dick. I loved it. I mean, it was an amazing game for the Giants ultimately until the 8th inning strolled around, and once again Tyler Rogers comes in and ruins it all, and Gabe Kapler, terrible decisions, not keeping Berregari in longer.
I mean, yeah, Cap was obviously given. Our bullpen can't continue to do this. It give me deja vu of last year. We're in midseason form right here. Just our pitching continues to give games away when our offense sets us up for a win. I mean, the bats showed up on Thursday, and yeah. So moving on to the next day, we got our first W. We're in the win column, 6-3. Our offense continues to play well, and Cueto had a nice outing on the mound.
Yeah, I mean, this game was awesome. Johnny Cueto started off, I mean, pretty solid, 5.26 hits, 300 runs, which is fine. We'll deal with it with an offense like that. And ultimately, the reason we won this game is because our bullpen had 0 earned runs. I mean, Wandy Peralta came in 1.1, did amazing, got himself the win, awesome for him. Rogers, surprisingly, didn't do it terrible and didn't give a run. Still just shocked, though, that Gabe Kapler would put him in the day after losing for us. And then Jake McGee came in and balled out. So we won this game because our bullpen did well, and then we scored points. We were able to score 6 points.
Yeah, we just got some runs on the board, and our bullpen didn't blow it, and I think that's the key for success for these Giants. I mean, our offense is old, and it's kind of inconsistent, but if we can get runs on the board, we got to capitalize, and our pitching's got to hold up those leads. And it did on Friday as we got that 6-3 win. And then moving on to yesterday or Saturday, we couldn't get any runs up on the board. And Logan Webb had a decent outing, but didn't matter. It didn't matter because we couldn't put up any runs. We had several hits, but didn't amount to any runs. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think Saturday was the toughest one by far for me. Although we didn't blow a lead, this was the toughest because we scored 0 points. So there's nothing really bright about it. I mean, we did the worst things. We did the most typical Giants thing in Giants fashion. We left runners on base. Yeah. I mean, we left all 7 hits we had on base. And then our pitching wasn't good, and our bullpen didn't do too well either. Reyes Moronta, I mean, he gave up a jack. And so, I mean, it wasn't the best outing by the Giants. And just kind of a very boring Giants-Nesh game. Nothing went well really. But I mean, the good news is Friday and Thursday, our offense did produce.
Yes, that was a good sign. We only had one game in the series where offense didn't do anything. But yeah, I mean, just disappointing. Mitch Haniger, like you said, hit a dinger off of Reyes Moronta. So Reyes Moronta not welcomed back. 2 players who missed the 2020 season. And so, yeah, but Sunday was off. Sunday, we are back at it in San Diego, where the starters will be Anthony DeSclafani versus Adrian Morejon. And so, yeah, the lefty on the mound for the Padres. Giants have been good versus lefties. We're not going to see Tommy LaStella or Alex Dickerson or those lefty bats, but Austin Slater, who's good against lefties, people like that, who can take advantage of lefty pitching, which we hit very well in the first 2 games of the season.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have 3 games, Monday through Wednesday games in San Diego. I mean, obviously, awesome would be to win 2, but I think just winning 1 should be a goal here, just not avoiding the sweep. And then we can go into our home opener 2-4. If we win 2, though, 3-3 would be ideal.
That would be ideal, yeah. Padres just came off a sweep against Arizona, so they're hot right now. Their bats are looking good. I watched the highlights of those games. Will Myers is swinging the bat well. Manny Machado is swinging the bat well. Fernando Tatis is struggling, so hopefully we can take advantage of that.
Yeah,
it's a tough team. It's gonna be a tough series. The back end of our rotation versus these talented San Diego bats. It's gonna be tough, but who knows?
I think we can avoid the sweep, though. I think we can do it.
I think we can, yeah, definitely. I think tomorrow is a good chance to do that as we place, a young lefty on the mound. But some red flags for the Giants we've noticed so far is, Mike Yastrzemski is struggling. He's gotten 1 hit the whole season. He had a clutch walk as well. But do you think these struggles continue, or do you think he patches it up pretty quickly?
I mean, I think Yaz is due. 1 for 13, as you say, or 1 for 14 on the season. He was 0 for 13 at one point. Then he got that. I mean, it was an infield single, so still nothing impressive. So I think he's due for a nice series against the Padres. Obviously, a terrible series against Seattle, but he is due. I mean, we saw it last year. I don't think just hitting 30 is going to make him automatically terrible. So I still think Yaz is all right. I'm not too worried about his struggles, but it definitely was frustrating. He left a lot of guys on base this year, and someone that we did not see struggle like they kept it going like they did last year was Donovan Solano.
Yeah, Donovan Solano was coming out the gate, swinging the bat, hot as ever, continuing over from last year. He kind of cooled down at the end of last year, but all of last year, kept his average in the high 330s, 340s. Just an absolute beast. He just hits the ball. He can't really field, but he hits the ball, and that's all we need. He produces runs. He's kind of the best player in this Giants offense at the moment. I would say definitely doesn't hit for power, but he gets on base, drives and runs, which is clutch. And it's also good to see Posey. His power is somehow having a resurgence as he's getting older. Yeah, and same with Evan Longoria. Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
I'm excited to see how this offense matures and goes on during the season. But as for pitching, how do you feel about this rotation so far?
I mean, I think this rotation has a good first three guys, obviously. I mean, I like Cueto, Gosman, and Webb. They're definitely going to be our three main guys. And then once Alex Wood comes back, it will be a lot more complete than it is right now, I think.
We definitely need a lefty. We've gone 4 straight righties right now. We needed something to spice it up. Alex Wood would be great for this rotation, and we really need him back right now. I'm not sure what the timetable is on that, but hopefully we get him back soon. That would be clutch for our rotation. So
absolutely,
let's do it.
So there you have it for the Giants. I mean, an okay start, but we're just excited to watch it. Next time we talk about the Giants, we'll have 7 more games under our belt. So hopefully we can win at least 3 or 4 of those. And we're excited to keep talking about them. All right. So this was an amazing episode. A lot we talked about, college basketball, both genders. We announced our tournament challenge champ who will be joining us next episode. And we talked about the Giants and the MLB, which just started up. So we are so excited to keep it going. I mean, 10 episodes strong. Keep hitting the like button. Keep sending it to all your friends. Oliver had a nice couple plays this week in high school football. So we'll cue those. Yep, my team had a bye, but Oliver's did not. So we'll cue those, and we will see you guys next time on episode 11 of CO Sports Talk.
Peace.
See ya.